All right, cool, man. We live.
Okay, yes, sir.
All right,
What's good?
welcome
What's
back
good?
to. All right, welcome back to the IRY podcast today. I got a new guest on today. Go ahead and introduce yourself, man.
Yo, it's yours truly, Mr. How you do that there himself, Young Bleed in the building. What's up with y'all?
That's what's up, man. Yeah, I was gonna, kind of go in from the beginning, your early
Mhm.
life, then getting into the music, and
Yeah.
then where you're at now. You know what I mean? So, what can you kind of speak on about your early life? Like where you
Um,
grew up and.
I tell everybody this. I'm about the oldest hip hop nowadays, man. So I'm born this way, man. My mother actually read me Dr. Seuss when I was still in the embryo, and I had an uncle that played all African eccentric instruments, in particular the drums, congos, bongos, whole sets, and stuff like that. So I was playing the set about 5 years old. Mother was reading me Dr. Seuss on the inside. Between 8 months to a year, I could read Dr. Seuss. So when you break down the word rap, R-A-P, rhythm and poetry. So when I say I'm born this way, yeah, it started since the beginning.
Damn.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
they instilled that you in you as a young kid, a young an infant. You know what I mean? So that's
yes, sir.
cool. Yeah. So you know, when did you start making your own music? As a young kid.
Um, like I say, when I was able to kind of crawl and walk, I come from a musical family that just never incorporated records and stuff like that. So, we come from shotgun houses and projects. So I used to beat on the wood on the porch. You know what I mean? Imitate my uncle. My mother said I used to flip on the inside of her when he played the drums. Used to run her crazy when she was pregnant. So I'm a natural drummer. I've been playing a whole set since 4 or 5 years old. And I had other instruments, baby pianos, guitars, and stuff like that. So I always tinkered around with the rest of the instruments, but mastered the drums. So, like I say, since my youth, and later in life, somewhere around 9 years old, we had a poetry teacher. I was in the fourth grade, University of Terrace Elementary. And she used to come by and teach us how to, create poetry. And I learned from writing and constructing haiku poems, how to write my own poetry, and just formulate off of what I was hearing from New York early hip hop. And back to the greats, and in particular in '83, I want to say Run DMC put out the first, Run DMC self-titled album. And there was a song called Wake Up on that particular record. Everybody else knows Suck MCs, Hard Times, and Rock Box used to be my favorite rap songs in life. But what I did was reconstruct Wake Up and wrote it about my family origin and my neighborhood and culture. And there was a poetry pamphlet that went around to all the elementary schools in the town that had a chance of reaching our state's capital. And my poetry was one of the poems that made that pamphlet at an early age. So I felt like if I could reach our state's capital at 9, and they'll tell them what I could do with this rap thing in life. So yeah, everything, that's all me, man, from the gate.
Damn, man. So, going through high school and everything, people, were you rapping with other artists, kids that were coming up doing the same kind of thing, or was it, kind of just you making music at that time, where you were at?
Kind of like Pac say, thug life always existed, but I diagnosed it. Far as the city, and a guy before me, years before that, by the name of Kuiper, was the first guy to come back to Baton Rouge with a gold record. But of course, other guys was making records, and I used to battle just like the New York MCs on the playground from elementary to middle school. 3, 5 guys at a time. I never lost a battle. So I had that back and forth, my family, neighborhood, and city. And instead of trains down here, we call city buses with the backpack and house to house home studios. You know what I mean? Honor to a lot of the guys that had that type of structure down here to be able to even kind of create music. If I started writing and been battling since, like, a freestyle before I could write. So about 82, I probably was tinkering around and battling, but didn't know how to formulate my words on paper and knew how to write my rhythms. But excuse me, by 1985, I started recording for the first time, my first demo tapes. And from that, I never looked back.
Damn. So, what was your first street record that, kind of blew off? Wasn't it Much Love?
Oh, you know about that, man. You did your homework, man.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I had a tape, man. It was a Bar-Kays sample from a song from the Bar-Kays called "You Can't Run Away From My Love." So we took that, put the Friends, Houdini drums, under it, and you know, I was, you know, producing and doing different things, and had other older engineers and producers that was teaching me the equipment and you know, all the recording devices. So yeah, that was the first. I had to be about 16 or something like that. And shouts out to my man Mike B. Williams and the whole Sterling family out this way that connected me with Mike, was their bigger cousin. And Todd Sterling being my manager at the time, they was formulating a production company and was looking for young artists in the city. And I knew my guy Todd, younger brother Steve, and we grew up together, you know, high school and middle school really in basketball. So he hipped him to me, brought him to my mom's crib when I was young, and they started taking me to the studio again and recording, and you know, felt enough about me that they was willing to put some money up and press my first 500 tapes that we used to sell in the street corners and the dope spots, all the moms and pops record stores and the corner stores in the neighborhood. So from there, yeah, I was, you know, recording, producing, and distributing music at an early age before I really knew what that was. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So what did that look like? When you were, out there on the corner, just giving out tapes, or how did you approach people, passing by?
Natural hustler, you know, coming from the city I'm from. So I was out here with some of the best kingpins in my family, neighborhood kingpins. So the car evolution and everything, you know, MCM and Gucci and Louis Vuitton seats way back then. Them type of guys was around me. So of course they supported me. So I sell my tape for $5 along with what I was selling in the dope sack, you know what I mean? So right in the dope spot, you know, if I was selling you, you know what I mean, cocaine and weed, I was selling you a tape. I had that the one difference between me and all them, that I sold a tape, and with them respecting my hustle, me coming from their hustle, everybody supported and they purchased. So yeah, just right in the spot, just, you know, what outcasts say, you know, the rap game is a lot like the dope game. You know, anything that you selling, you know, versus or minus the product, you know, it's just a different product, but that same hustle and method to the madness I apply to the rap music, the rap
Yeah.
business more or less. Yeah.
So they went hand in hand, you know what I mean?
Yes, sir. Definitely.
So,
Definitely.
while you were, we were working at this time too, right? Because you always had just, like day jobs and stuff like that, even, while
Yeah.
selling drugs and, working, making music, so you're always nonstop busy, so
Yeah.
what was a day in the life like that, before, you got the deal and everything?
Um, you know, my family was some go-getters, you know what I mean? Hard working people and hustlers and all that type of thing. So I always wanted my own money. From 5 years old, I was trying to cut the grass, but I was too little and things like that. My uncles and them wouldn't let me lift weights and say I strained myself, you know, at an early age. So I was eager. So about 7 years old, I had my first job sweeping a parking lot for the sandwich shop. I learned I did a book called The Making of Preserve when I signed with Tech Nine, those guys in 2010, 2011. We did a book to an album I did called Preserve. But the first chapter of that book, I tell you about the value of $1. And it's a job. I was a 7-year-old kid that I worked, you know, for about a week. And when it came time for payment and them to pay me, I went in and finished my job all week and went to collect my check. So the lady that was just like owner or the manager of the building, she went to the cash register and she pulled out $1 bill, and they sold sandwiches. So she said, "You want a sandwich or a dollar bill?" So as a kid, that didn't register right with me. I said, "Hold up, my parents we lived right across the street from the building." So I went and talked to my dad, and I was like, "Hey man, you know what I mean? To me, that don't even make sense. That's like 20 cents a day, and this
Right.
19 83, 81, 80, 81, somewhere like that." So my pops was like, "Man, the hell with that sandwich, man. Go get your dollar and never work for him again." So I developed independence at an early age, and you know, and just you know, to be about my own dollar just off of my work ethic and working a job. So like you say, I started there. I keep me a day job. I had those type of parents, you know what I mean? My stepfather later, he was a hardworking man from Ninth Ward, New Orleans, on into Baton Rouge in his early days. And yeah, just he installed the work ethic in me. Get up and go, man. You can't, you know, sleep all day if you want to really make some money. So they started me out, like I say, real early, getting my own money. And coming from a state that we come from, was a long way from New York and definitely California. So I had kind of self-enterprise, man. It's just, different odd jobs here and there with a sack on the side. So I always was like a wild Jamaican out here. I always did about 8 things in a day. And then the more I grew into it, yeah, it's a part of my DNA structure, man. I gotta be up doing something or I'm sleeping, you know what I mean?
Right. Damn. So you always working, you know. So what was the there was like a story, you know, like your last job, you know, that you were working as a yard keeper, right? Or a groundskeeper or something like that.
Yes, sir. Yeah, definitely.
And that was your last job that you had to work. And then, you know, you went and went on a plane after there and signed a deal, right?
Yes, sir. From Kingston Point, man, out here I was a groundkeeper at this apartment complex. And in the midst of that, still doing what I always did. My homie had formulated a record company called C Local Records. And we started to build a clique called the Concentration Camp. And in the midst of me doing that, everybody having their individual, you know, um, work or whatever you was doing, livelihood in the street, we were still building and reaching out to try to get a labor deal, some kind of major deal, and just right place at the right time when Master P was evolving and coming back to the South and making a Bowden movie. Him and CeeLo, connected some kind of way, and we started, swapping work between the camps, No Limit and CeeLo Records. And eventually, with the access to P and that access to California Priority Records, P liked the How You Do That record was originally called The Fool, was my first solo record on CeeLo Records, other than kind of being side man for the CeeLo solo albums that he had made a couple of years prior to that. So eventually, not what you know, it's who you know. One thing led to the next. P got that record out to California, passed his interest into the hands of Priority Records, and before I know it, and like you said, they offered me a flight for a weekend to come check out everything to see, if that's something I wanted to get into. And here again, the rest is history.
Right. Damn. So this was after that How You Do That there came out, right?
Yeah, so the original one I want to say came out on the first self-titled Concentration Camp album in '96, if I'm not mistaken. It was #1 in the city and spreading fast. And, like I say, Pete caught a whim of it and grabbed it, you know what I mean, and passed the torch. And yeah, and, it was flight after that, man. Ever since
Damn.
then.
So
That's
what when he heard it, I mean, did he call you up or how did he even approach you about, doing the remix to that song?
Well, really, him and Loke, I think they discussed it. They pitched the idea to me before I was really up close and personal with Pete. And Pete being who he was at the time, I was like, yeah, of course, let's go with it. And eventually, he called me out to his studio on Carpet Boulevard out here, where No Limit was situated. And we got to know each other a little better, and we started doing, other things for us, the future. But yeah, from that, day one, A1, and it's been lovely. The numbers hadn't stopped running since then, man. So yeah, it took off and still running. You did.
Yeah. So, after that came out, you guys did the video and then, was that your first time doing a big video like that for it? For any kind of
Yeah,
music?
and I want to say my biggest video still to date. I done did numerous videos, and we tinkered around in the beginning, doing little minor stuff in the town. But yeah, that's the biggest one to date. I remember being in California, waking up at 6, 7 in the morning and being rushed to go, get on the video set while I was still wiping the coal out my eyes. I'm looking at a yacht, $1 million beach house, a Bentley, the whole nine. And I just started going to California like in '97. So all of that kind of came, in the same gambit. And from there, yeah, smooth sailing as the boat was sailing, man. So yeah, I had to adapt fast to that and run with the game. But yeah, that's my biggest video to date, to this day. Yeah.
Damn. So, after it came out and you were getting all this attention, what doors did this open for you?
Oh, the world. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Hit Australia. Yeah, hit Australia from that, man. Yes, sir.
So a lot of the people out there were really messing with the track out there.
Yeah, you got to keep in mind, it's been so many remakes and relicks and, you know what I mean, wordplay since that record, like I said, on up until the modern day. So, I mean, I done made numerous of records over the years, compilation, and collaborated with a lot of people, all coasts. But I cannot go to a club or any event if you don't know anything. If you don't know me, you know that record. So I spring my new stuff You know, every time I do a show, if I got a new record or something up and coming, but the people won't let me leave without performing. Really, you know, not only how you do that there, but you know, half of that ball's in my word out. So
Yeah.
still to this day, man, yeah, I'm still flying off the first plane, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really big song, and that's, the first song I heard, with you in there, I mean, so,
Yeah,
that can be for a lot of people, and they're like, "Oh, who's this dude? Let's check him out." You know what I mean? So that definitely
right.
was a good decision, doing the remix and everything, and do the video,
Yes, sir. No doubt.
you know,
Absolutely.
and so after you made that, I'm sure that made you want to work even harder, and
Definitely.
continue to do that, to continue to make more music, because you didn't want to be just known for that, and which you didn't, because
Right.
and now we know you have all these other songs and plenty of other albums that you came out with after, what I mean? So describe the
Yes, sir.
mindset that, that was, going on through your head after that came out and, what you wanted to do.
Okay, going back to the evolution, like I say, you know, born this way, that was my life dream. I just always dreamed and prayed about a break like that. And so, of course, when it came to me, you know, I still had to let go. And it's just, you know, it's a natural thing for me, you know what I mean, with and without money. Uh, and in some sense, the definition of hip hop, we grew into the money, real hip hoppers and people for us, the hip hop culture. It's a spiritual thing that's inside your head, inside your psyche, inside your heart, and it flow with your bloodstream. You know, at least for me, and I feel like I can speak for a lot of people, and definitely the culture. So it's an everyday thing, man. You know, if I worked a job, one of my lifetime partners I'm sitting next to now, we worked at a Pizza Hut together, and the bosses we had was high school bosses, and the father, overall neighborhood father, was a guy by the name of James that always gave us jobs if we needed to do anything in and out of high school. But they knew me and what I did and what I was pushing towards. So everybody supported me. Um, and the guys used to let my guy that I'm sitting next to sit next to me while I washed dishes or made pieces and keep a notebook or napkins. You know, I hear Jay-Z mention, you know, I used to have to write these things down and memorize. But I used to have a pocket full of napkins when I came home, and I had to go home and reconstruct my rhymes. But that type of love in the community, man, and support for us, my family here again, the neighborhood and the whole city, and it just morphed, you know what I mean? And like I said, to the current day, you know, and it been nonstop, ongoing faucet. So yeah, man, yeah, definitely from that, man, so many ways, so many days. Yeah.
Hell yeah, man. And you're still doing shows and everything like that, So
Yeah.
now with your new independent label, what is some things that you learned from, being on a major record label to, going on it independently, because I hear you say a lot, it's 90% business and 10% music. So,
Yeah.
kind of explain that.
Um, when I first got in the industry and everybody told me that, I took offense to it because you know I learned backwards. You know, if you compare the artistry to the business, so without having that proper schooling, I had to get mine out the mud, out the bricks, and learn by experience. So I learned a lot of the experience just going up and down with record companies and so on and so forth. How to structure mine, how to treat the artists fair, how to school the artists, and you know, to help them get to that side. Some artists inspired to be businessmen as well, and this is all business. But what I try to do is take my personal experience, the do's and don'ts, and learn the correct way to do things. You know what I mean? Satisfy the people, and hopefully they satisfy you. So that's the whole thing, you know, with God first, and just my structure is life, love, and legacy. God first, yourself for self-preservation, and I guess you could say family. So, you know, God, family, and business, and in that order, you know what I mean? Things have a tendency to fall in place, man. Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's dope. How many artists do you have with you now that you're working with?
20 plus across the country. Yeah,
Damn.
that's a part of Trapdoor Entertainment, man. Real down and dedicated guys and girls, man. So all over the country. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So do you guys do shows together or anything like that, or?
Yeah, when we in the vicinity, you know,
Mhm.
we like a band of freelancers, you know what I mean, in that sense. So everybody kind of hold their section down till we form Voltron, you know what I mean? So when it's time we close enough or got something going that involves all of us in that city to city, you know, that type of thing, man. But no cap, I don't hold nobody's hand, they don't hold mine. And we work on a thing like this. Everybody got their own solo situations and studios and stuff like that. So when you're ready to turn in the record, let me double check it. And it's off to the to the playground after that, man. So that's the day-to-day operation. I stay working, everybody individually working, and we meet on the in between and the end. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's good, because it gives them the freedom to, make their own decisions, and then you do your
Exactly.
own, but you guys help each other bounce back off each other and give feedback and
Exactly.
everything, like you said, like double check the record and everything. So
That's
that's a
it.
good thing.
Yes, sir. Definitely. Yes, sir.
So right now, are you in the works of making your own music still?
Yeah, I'm actually working on another project. I think I'm gonna call Bleed. Since I come home in the city, a lot of my family members, and like I said, everybody got their own workstations and stuff. So I can go studio to studio and be working on a project here, a project there. I'm normally at a minimum of working on 30 projects at a time. And that's
Damn.
just not 30 Bleed projects. That's the Carleone family. That's my brother. That's my son. That's the rest of the artists. And, all else fail, we make up a project to keep it moving. I come from a pizza kitchen, so I learned if you want to eat, you got to stay in the kitchen. The more pies, the more money. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. That's true, man. Your recent
Yes, sir.
album that came out this year was "There Is a God." What was your mind?
Absolutely.
Was it an album, or I think it was an EP, right?
Now, the EP, the prequel to that was the Signs and Wonders. I released in 2020, I want to say.
Oh, okay.
Was a prequel to There Is a God. And that whole inspiration come from the COVID time and everybody looking for a cure, all these deaths. But the one thing I saw the world was missing and people wasn't mentioning, maybe a few pastors here and there, but very slightly, if any, people forgot to, give reverence and thanks and pray to God for any problem since Black plagues and all that. You know what I mean? I'm a deep spiritual guy. So when you're talking revelation and the signs of the time, if Revelation's in the 22nd chapter is 2022. But what if those are those times? What you don't want to do is wait and let God catch you with your drawers down. So I'm giving my honor and my respect. And if anybody asking me here again how you do that, that will keep me focused in the midst of this, it's God. It always been that. I teaspoon fed that throughout my career. And, keep one foot in the streets. So like Casey Kasem used to say, keep your feet on the ground and keep reaching for the stars. So, heavens and all the in between on down to the earthbound, let thy will be done on earth that is as it is in heaven. So I keep that God element, you know what I mean, for us the world. And I felt like, everybody that got so busy, so short span that we forgetting the one thing. And if we can get correct with that one thing, maybe the world could be a better place. So anybody looking at me, I wanted to take this time in my life and, prayers to the world and everything that's going on in an effort to reaching the Father in the high heavens, and He bless us the right way. And since then, we still hearing about the COVID, but I'm seeing this slow down. So I just follow what's in my spirit, and so far, so good. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's a great way that was a great album that you had to put out. I mean, it was perfect timing, and
Yeah, man.
had a perfect meaning for it. For everything that is around it. So that's a powerful
Absolutely.
meaning. It's more than
Yes, sir.
just music.
Yeah, it's more than music. And music started in the heavens. The devil ran the music in the heavens. So I always say this: if you know where you come from, you know where you at, and you know where you going and where to take the game. If you don't read the instructions, you have no chance of winning the game. I mean, everybody get beginner luck and so on and so forth. But if you that 1, 2, 3 structure or the Trinity, however you want to put it, with that, at least you done did what you're supposed to do, and that's the best we can do from an earthbound. So yeah, back to the basics, man. That part.
Yeah. No, I agree with you on that, man. Because you got to know where you're going. You got to know where you've been and where you're at
Yeah,
now before you can try and move forward with anything.
exactly. Agreed. Yes, sir.
But yeah, man. Did you have anything else that you wanted to add before we wrap up?
Um, yeah, we was talking earlier, man. I always forget to mention that. I dig what you doing and so many people around the world, and definitely keeping me included, and likewise my Casa Su Casa. But I'm also part of a broadcast station that's channeled out of H-Town, Houston, Texas, and throughout the world, worldwide audience by the name of banging832radio.com. I show up there every Tuesday night and Thursday night. We run the whole week around. But 4 p.m. Pacific time, 6 p.m. Central and 7 p.m. every Tuesday and Thursday nights, where we do New Music Tuesday. And a lot of what you're doing, we bring up and coming artists, underground legends and stuff of that nature on Tuesday night, on New Music Tuesday. But on Thursday, we do like the throwback series with a lot of the OGs that I'm connected to, and as well as the fam at Bangin' 832, and just keep an outlet going for everybody that's music connoisseurs and got dreams of making music. So that's my first radio home and personal radio home. Shouts out to Southern Belle and High Risk. Along with my social media platforms, man, for people that's interested in me, and you're a Facebook fan, go to the Young Bleed fan page on Facebook. On Twitter, it's at Real Young Bleed, and on Instagram, it's The Real Young Bleed. And as well as the label and the website, it's www.trapdoorent.com, and there's no slang words, you know, it's spelled in perfect English, man. So other than that, man, Google me, reach out and touch me, man. We out here working all day, every day to be continued to hear.
Hell yeah, man. I appreciate you coming on, man. Thank you.
I appreciate you, much love, family. Hold it down, and we're gonna hold you down.
Yes, sir. Here, I'm